This is the synthetic signal report for Monday, March 23, 2026, in the afternoon. Today's analysis examines a hardware milestone where an iPhone 17 Pro successfully ran a 400 billion parameter large language model, a fatal collision between a plane and a ground vehicle at LaGuardia Airport, and a $1 billion settlement between the United States and TotalEnergies to terminate offshore wind projects. We also investigate allegations by Epic regarding fraudulent access to patient records, Walmart's decision to abandon OpenAI's instant checkout system, and a signal from the future regarding a post-quantum Ethereum architecture that eliminates the need for traditional digital signatures. The boundary for edge computing has shifted significantly as an iPhone 17 Pro has been demonstrated running a 400 billion parameter large language model locally. This is a massive jump in mobile execution, as models of this scale typically require high-end server clusters with multiple A100 or H100 graphics units. The demonstration suggests that Apple has successfully integrated extreme quantization techniques with a high-bandwidth memory architecture that bypasses traditional mobile bottlenecks. The most critical detail is the efficiency of the inference. Running a model of this size on a handheld device implies a fundamental change in how weights are stored and retrieved from flash storage. Analysts are focusing on the unified memory architecture of the A19 Pro chip, which appears to handle the massive throughput required to keep the model responsive. If this performance holds across diverse workloads, it marks the end of reliance on cloud-based processing for frontier-scale intelligence, moving the most sensitive and complex reasoning tasks entirely onto local, private hardware. A serious safety breach occurred at LaGuardia Airport earlier today when a plane collided with a ground vehicle on the tarmac. This incident resulted in the deaths of 2 pilots. Initial reports indicate a breakdown in ground traffic control coordination during a period of high congestion. The investigation is currently focusing on the communication protocols between the flight deck and the ground handling teams. This collision is an update to ongoing concerns regarding runway incursions and taxiway safety at major metropolitan hubs. Technical analysts are looking at whether the airport's surface detection equipment was fully operational or if human error in navigating the complex ground environment led to the fatal overlap in pathing. The United States government and the energy firm TotalEnergies have reached a settlement valued at nearly $1 billion to effectively end several major offshore wind projects. This deal represents a significant pivot in domestic energy strategy. The cancellation follows a series of regulatory hurdles and shifting economic conditions that made the projects increasingly difficult to sustain. The core of the agreement involves the government buying back lease rights and compensating TotalEnergies for investments already made in the development phase. This move suggests a cooling period for large-scale offshore wind in the Atlantic, as rising material costs and supply chain constraints have made the original bid prices unfeasible. This development will likely force a re-evaluation of regional carbon reduction targets that relied heavily on these specific installations. The healthcare software giant Epic has filed a lawsuit claiming it has uncovered rot within the national patient record-sharing system. Epic alleges that a specific company posed as a legitimate healthcare provider to gain unauthorized access to patient data. Once inside the system, the data was reportedly used to assist law firms in building litigation cases. This is a critical breach of the trust frameworks that allow doctors to share records across different platforms. Epic is calling on the Department of Health and Human Services to increase oversight of the organizations that participate in these data exchanges. The how of this story involves the exploitation of the treatment purpose of use flag, which normally allows for rapid data transfer in clinical settings, but was allegedly used as a cover for legal data mining. Walmart has officially abandoned its integration of OpenAI's instant checkout after internal data showed it converted 3 times worse than the traditional website experience. Starting in November, Walmart offered 200,000 products directly through the ChatGPT interface. However, the data reveals that users were far less likely to complete a purchase inside the chat environment. Walmart found that the friction of an artificial intelligence-mediated transaction led to lower customer retention compared to their own app and website. As a result, Walmart is routing all traffic back to its own platforms where it has more control over the user interface and inventory management. This highlights a growing realization that while generative agents are useful for search, they currently struggle with the final execution phase of e-commerce. A signal from the future has emerged from the Ethereum research community regarding a post-quantum architecture that functions without any digital signatures. Researchers have already implemented a 3-node development network using a zero-knowledge attestation model. The breakthrough lies in the Qingming zero-knowledge engine, which achieved an end-to-end proof in just 2.56 seconds on a consumer RX 7900 XTX graphics card. By moving away from per-transaction signature verification and toward a hardware layer attestation, the network can remain secure against quantum computer attacks while actually increasing performance. The architectural analysis shows that this new verification method is 26 microseconds faster than the current ED 25519 standard. This suggests a future where the primary bottleneck for blockchain scaling, cryptographic overhead, is effectively neutralized. Community chatter is currently focused on a wave of critical vulnerabilities in the OpenClaw and Blinko systems. OpenClaw, a web search citation tool, is facing 3 distinct high-severity issues, including a server-side request forgery vulnerability that allows attackers to target private networks through citation redirects. Meanwhile, the AI-powered note-taking project Blinko has been hit with a cluster of flaws in the latest update, specifically version 1.8.3. These include path traversal vulnerabilities and a privilege escalation flaw, where a publicly accessible endpoint leaks the superadmin token. Netscaler administrators are also on high alert following reports of a memory overread and erase condition that leads to user session mix-ups. In the emerging tools space, developers are tracking Agent Kernel, a minimal kernel designed to make any AI coding agent stateful. By giving agents a persistent state, the tool allows for more complex, multi-step engineering tasks without losing context between sessions. This concludes the synthetic signal report for Monday afternoon.